Video. There we go. Let me just get settled here, guys. It's been a minute. Hello, I'm Lev, aka Let's Go 2000, and welcome to Let's Go 2000. Today's fidget toy of choice is this Victor Wembanyama plushie that I ordered on Amazon because I saw them at the NBA store, and then I went to the NBA store and they didn't have them anymore, and I was really sad, so I ordered one on Amazon. Thank you. All that yapping aside, the subject of today's video is basketball, mythology, and the supernatural, which is a subject that is near and dear to my heart. I'm actually working on my grad school thesis about afterlife, mythology, and grief in the NBA. So a lot of what I'm going to be talking about today is deeply intertwined with that world. I wanted to start off my channel actually with stuff in the grief and afterlife, but now I guess we're getting into it. And the video that I'm making today actually all started with a thread by Grimes, who I know is problematic. Let's just get that out of the way first. But she is one of my favorite musicians of all time. Whatever. But anyway, let me get this thread up for you. It's on my laptop. My laptop actually features this is Fake Woke and Likely Trans. This is my merch. It's a long story, but basically somebody called me fake woke and likely trans. And I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I'm making that into merch right now. But anyway, as we all know, Grimes is pretty problematic. So I'm just gonna read you the tweet, or it's actually a whole thread. So on March 31st, 2025, she says, "I think there may be a bizarrely strong bond between basketball and witchcraft. The situation with Lil B and Kevin Durant and the Golden State Warriors remains perhaps the most mainstream acknowledgement of witchcraft in contemporary society. Lil B cursed Kevin Durant for stealing his dance. Durant started playing terribly, and I think he and the team formally apologized to Lil B and then resumed their success." This isn't exactly true. I think she's a little bit wrong here. But then she goes on to say, "I also totally dominate at basketball inexplicably. I regularly play with the guys, and I always get shots in, to the point where I'm the second best player in the group. It's a very delightful random development in my life that seems witchy and magical / not normal." And that whole line about something about basketball feeling witchy and magical and not normal resonates with me so hard, because if you've read any of my stuff, it's kind of something that I talk about a lot. Yes, basketball is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Yes, it is also very mundane and not something you think of as spiritual, but there's so much magical and supernatural stuff that happens here. And like I said, I'm doing my thesis a lot about mythology in the NBA. I'm sure there's mythology in other forms of basketball, but we're talking about the NBA for this project. A lot of people in my circles were just kind of dismissing her as crazy. I think she's actually onto something. And for me, this whole obsession with basketball and mythology and the supernatural started when I took a sports and spirituality class. And one of the case studies in this class of basketball and the supernatural and the mythological and the spiritual was a Chris Paul high school game, which this apparently was pretty big news at the time. This is something that a lot of people who are a little bit older than me probably know about. When Chris Paul was in high school, his grandfather suddenly died when he was 61 years old. I think that's what happened. Wait, I'm gonna Google this real quick. Hold on. Let me Oh, he was murdered. Okay. So Chris Paul, heavily grieving, in his first game after that happens, puts up exactly 61 points. And when I read about that story in that class, I immediately thought of Isaiah Thomas, who in 2017 put up 33 points the day after his sister died, and then a few weeks later, on what would have been her 23rd birthday, put up 53 points. And this was all in the playoffs. And to me, both of those things feel mythological and feel magical, but are also deeply human. I love the idea that grief can power us to do incredible things. I think there's that quote that goes, "All things are possible through love, and grief is just love persisting," which I might have just, mashed those two together in my head just now, but that's something that I live by. And I think in that sense, Grimes makes a really good point. I actually asked my Twitter followers for some examples of events that they think feel pretty mythological in the NBA, and some of these I'm like, you're missing the point a little bit, but some of these are really good. A lot of these people are almost there, but they just want to mention their favorite team or their favorite player, which is fine. People are saying that Katie's foot on the line in 2021 is mythological. I don't think so, guys. Somebody in my Twitter brought up the Celtics curse on Kyrie Irving when he stomped on their mascot and then went on to lose 13 straight. I think that's pretty funny. The first thing I thought of when I was thinking of NBA events that feel mythological was the Kawhi Shot in the 2019 Eastern Conference semifinals versus the Sixers. And I know this is triggering for a lot of you. I'm a Sixers fan. I think a lot of you guys are Sixers fans. It's okay. Let's all take a deep breath. Let's all compose ourselves. Please don't skip this part of the video, because I know that whenever anybody talks about that shot, So basically, it was game 7 of the Eastern Conference semifinals in 2019. It was that stacked Sixers team versus versus that stacked Raptors team that went on to win the entire thing. And it's tied. Kawhi gets the ball and he just shoots this ridiculous three. Or I don't even know if it's tied. I think the Sixers almost had it. Let's look this up. Literally, you Google Kawhi shot and it comes up. Like, it's so, my goodness. People consider this the best shot in the greatest shot in NBA history, which it might be. But I need to find the score of what it was before. What was the score when he made that? Okay, Google says it was tied 90-90, which I believe because I watched it live and I think that sounds right. And Kawhi gets the ball for the last possession and he shoots this like insane corner three that bounces off the rim 4 times. And some people say that's, just karma for the Sixers doing the process and everything. I think that the Philadelphia 76ers are generationally cursed. I'd love to make a video on that. I genuinely believe that somebody put a curse on the franchise at some point, or they cursed themselves. But something about that just feels so improbable and so mythological that, like, of course it happened. And of course it happened in Philly. And like I said, people consider this the greatest shot in NBA history. I think it's one of them. I hate that it's against my Sixers, especially like one of my favorite Sixers teams of all time. But it is one of the greatest shots in basketball history. And to me, it feels almost supernatural. But something that I wrote down actually for something for my thesis that I feel like feels really mythological was when Manu Ginobili swatted a bat out of the air on Halloween in 2009. I think it was 2009. Actually bonkers. I think the Spurs arena has like a bat problem because I'm pretty sure it happened again. But the Spurs have also like recreated this event with their mascot and stuff a few times. And I think that's just how traditions start, if you think back. Like, there are things that we do that we don't really have a reason for, but it all goes back to something. Like, who started the idea of having a Christmas tree, bro? You ever think about that? Who started that? Who started that idea, right? But it just goes like back so far, and I could see, like 100 years down the line, even if the Spurs are still if the Spurs are still an NBA franchise, if the NBA still exists, I could see them recreating the bat thing and people having no idea what the original instance was, but knowing that it comes from this mythological event of a man swatting the bat out of the air. So I think about that a lot. That's something I think about a lot. Like, one point that I always make is that a lot of the way that people grieved Kobe was essentially creating a new religion out of Mamba mentality and also just seeing Kobe everywhere in the numbers 8 and 24, which, I mean, in my thesis, I'm going to get into more how that is like a coping mechanism. And it is also probably, well, it's both. It's a coping mechanism and a religion. I held this belief that in the future, Kobe Bryant will be seen as either a patron saint or a deity of basketball. I don't think he'll be like canonized in the Christian sense, but I can genuinely see people just passively kind of praying to him before a game. I mean, we can kind of see it now, like when Jason Tatum texted Kobe's old number, "I got you today," in the 2022 finals. And yeah, Jason Tatum did not have Kobe that day. He did not got him today. But the act of texting Kobe's old number, I think, in my mind, functions kind of like a prayer, But anyway, that's besides the point. That's a totally different video subject. I love to get into the Kobe numerology stuff. I find it so fascinating. It is a massive part of my thesis. And I do think it's pretty mythological. I mean, when I was posting about that on Twitter, like last year, somebody said it just feels so mythological that somebody larger than life would go out in a fiery blaze on a mountainside. And I kind of agree. That's the kind of stuff you hear about, in Greek mythology. So we're kind of just taking things on like this super large scale, like what will people think like 3,000 years from now? But I think it's a pretty fun thought experiment. I mean, if you need another example, I think the whole way that they did Winning Time absolutely plays into the idea that there is mythology involved in basketball. We are telling these stories for future generations. And I think that in itself is a lot of what mythology is, just kind of proving, hey, we were here. These things happened. We find them really profound. Here you go. Here, this is for you. And it doesn't really have to be super spiritual or supernatural in that way. I think it just has to be something that we pass down. I'm taking this Grimes thread pretty seriously because I feel like we're in a time where apathy is ruling everything, and you're encouraged not to look too deeply into things because if you do, it's not that deep, bro. You're taking this too seriously. And I think everything I do is in opposition to that idea. I think that everything is that deep, and I encourage you to think about things deeply because number one, it's fun. Number two, you learn things. And number three, if you're like me, you'll post about it, and then like 3 or 4 years down the line, everyone will come back like, oh my God, you were right the whole time. So that's also why I'm doing a media studies degree, I fear, because I love connecting dots. And I think I could connect the dot between apathy culture and how people reacted to this Grimes tweet pretty straight. I think a lot of people who are on Grimes' side of the internet don't think about sports that much. And I also think a lot of people in academia don't think about sports that much. I think that sports is something that is constantly just dumbed down and likened to just jocks yelling at TV screens. And also, I think the other way around, if you take a lot of people who are sports fans, who are more hegemonically masculine, masculine and heteronormative, they might look at something like astrology and think that's complete bullshit. So I think that Grimes is actually doing something really beautiful and really powerful in this thread that I've actually been trying to do for a long time. But because she's Grimes and because she has like that influence and that pull, it's really being taken seriously this time. And I find that beautiful. Because like I said, I think it is important to think about everything that deeply. I think Plushy Wemby agrees with me. Overall, Grimes was right. I really like this thread and I think it's important. I'm just abusing Plushy Wemby over here, bro. I'm gonna like get like a screenshot where it's just, we're like, okay, whatever. I feel like we're done here. Beep beep boop boop bop. If you like this video, I have a couple others already that you can go check out. I don't know if they'll be on the screen. You can go watch those if you liked what I had to say here. Like I said, I want to do more stuff in this vein where I kind of talk about basketball and spirituality and the supernatural because it's my thesis. If you like me and what I do, you can like this video and subscribe and follow me on all my other socials, which are linked in the description. And if you really like me, if you love me actually, you can go subscribe to my Patreon, which is $1 a month. You can be in the credits like all of these lovely people who are probably coming down the screen right now. But yeah, that's it for today. Have a fantastic one. Remember to always be kind, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.